Hi, my lovelies, it's Ethony, and it is fast approaching my favourite time of year. So, I have got my spectacular picks for my Halloween, Samhain, and All Hallows Eve decks for 2022. Before I jump in to the list, if you could do me a quick favour, hit that like button and let me know in the comments below what your favourite Halloween movie is. It takes a few seconds and it helps me out a lot. And with that, thank you so much, and let's jump in. My very first pick is the Nightmare Before Christmas Tarot. It is such a fun deck. The deck is illustrated by the one and only Tim Burton, and Minerva Siegel wrote the book. I enjoy this deck because not only is The Nightmare Before Christmas one of my favorite movies, I love all the purple, I love all the details in the box is beautiful, the back is beautiful. I have talked before about how I wish that the deck wasn't so pippish, and you can see in some of the cards that I'm showing you now that it is quite pippish in some of it, and there are so many rich characters in the Nightmare Before Christmas that you really could have put a little bit more detail into some of the pips, but I still really enjoy this deck. I love the fact that the book is in full color. It does absolutely bring a little bit of joy to reading the book. And if you haven't watched the movie, I mean, you can still use this as a tarot deck, but if you're like me and you super love the movie, you can still use it as well. One of my favorites, and I'll be using this in this spooky season. My second pick is the Hocus Pocus Tarot, and honestly, it was about damn time. In a minute, I'm gonna need a sentimental little tarot deck to be Hocus Pocus. So this was brand new this year from the same creators or the same publishers, Insight Editions. I love this artwork, and it's by Dread, and I just think the artwork is so sensational. I gotta admit, the deck is a little pippish. The book is color again, full color. So, I love that. The Major Arcana features most of the main characters from Hocus Pocus. I have seen the black flame candle is at the bottom of the box, which is really, really cool. I have seen this movie so many times I have lost count. I am so excited for the sequel movie to come out. The backs are quite plain, but that's okay. But as I'm showing you some of these cards, you can see again, it's really quite pippish. And I understand that, this was a movie with a very limited breadth of maybe characters and things that you could use, but I still think that some of them could have been a little bit more carefully or considerately drawn. I don't think it takes too much more effort to put in a little bit more into the cards, but it's still a fun themed deck and it's still really, really cute. One of the really cool things about working with all of the decks that are themed, and I'm going to be moving on to another very heavily themed deck, is that it brings a sense of nostalgia as well. When you were brought up on, The Nightmare Before Christmas and Hocus Pocus, and the third pick, the Disney Villans tarot, when you grow up with all of these iconic imagery and these iconic movies, it does spark that part of you that is just so into the nostalgia. So this is my third pick. I actually think this is one of the better, or if not the best, themed deck by Insight Editions, for the fact that it is a very characterized deck. And I say that because most of the cards, so again, you got a beautiful book and box, so it's all color, but most of the minor arcana have a little bit more detail. Not all of them, but most of them. And as I'm showing you some cards now, you can see that there is a little bit more to go on, especially if you know these characters, if you've watched the movies. But then there are some that are you know, exactly just very, very Pip-like. But I adore it. I think it's such a fun deck. Again, I've seen every movie that all of these cards are showing, and I love Villans. Ursula is one of my all-time favorite Disney characters, and I just think it is a really fun deck to crack out for Halloween. Another thing is that these theme decks really allow openings for people who are into tarot but maybe not sure about maybe the more traditional and more scary decks, that they can come in and play with these really fun theme decks. My fourth pick is the Bohemian Gothic Tarot. Now, I don't know if you can still get this from Baba Studios, but it is a really lovely deck. I haven't featured it here on one of my lists for a long time. I have two editions. I have the boxed edition with the big book, and this was the sort of clamshell version. This is by Baba Studios, and it is simply stunning. It is a photo collage deck, and you know, sometimes I'm not massively into photo collage decks, but I do think that Baba Studios do some of the best. It is a really fun Halloween deck. It's very, I have the Victorian Romantic Tarot, so I feel like this one is, it's like half year, dark half of the year Samhain partnership, and I just really love that juxtaposition between the two. It's very romantic. It has all these very gothic castles and characters, and it is just really a fun one to work with on Halloween. My fifth selection is the Happy Halloween Tarot deck. Now, I found this via Etsy, and this is by Sony Graves, and I absolutely love this deck. I'm so glad that I picked it up. Now, the deck doesn't come with a guidebook. It is just a deck in a box. The pages are daughters, knights are sons, queens are mothers, kings are fathers. But what I like about this deck is that you don't necessarily need to have the guidebook to tell you. If you know the tarot system itself, or as we all know, we have Magic Google, you can translate this quite easily into normal tarot practices. It's a really fun deck. I love the bright colors. I love the orange, black and white. I actually do not wear a lot of orange. Orange is not really something that's a part of my life, except for Halloween. Then it becomes like an explosion of orange. But it is so fun. I love the illustrations. I think that she's done they've done an amazing job. I don't know what their pronouns are. So it is just absolutely stunning, and I treasure this deck very much, and I'm definitely going to be using it this Halloween season. My sixth pick for my Halloween tarot decks this year is the Tarot of the Sorceress, and it is a brand new deck that I have from Rockpool Publishing and Berengue de Monacy. I know I'm probably butchering that name. I apologize. It is a black, white, and gold deck. It comes in a beautiful box, which is gilded, as we can see here. It's really, really lovely. It comes with quite the chunky monkey of a book, so there's quite a lot of information in here. One thing that I think could have elevated this deck a little more is having the gold parts in the cards. As you can see them now as I'm showing them to you, actually gold stamped, or having some sort of glitter on them to give it a little bit more depth, because it's black, white, and gold, but that kind of coppery, dark, antique gold can feel a little dull when it's on paper. It's a really fun deck. It's elemental, so it's really tapping into those elemental witchcraft vibes. It's a beautiful deck. I love some of the interpretations quite a lot. I struggle sometimes with more pippish decks, or decks that there's not a lot going on in the actual card that has people in it, because I do like to use the tarot as a reflection of the book of life and what we go through on a daily basis. But it is exceptionally beautiful, and it is a really fun deck. And if you like black, white, and gold, or those sorts of elementally rich decks, I think you'll really love this for the spooky season. My seventh pick is the Halloween Tarot by US Game Systems, and I have a deep, deep love for this deck in my heart and in my collection. I actually still think this is one of the best Halloween themed decks there is. I have the book, a bigger book that came with this that I got back in 2000 and gosh, when was it? 2004, I want to say. Oh no, 2007, 2007, when I was in Toronto for the first time. And I just love this deck. So there are imps and pumpkins and bats and ghosts instead of the different suits. I think it is just perfection. I love this sort of vintage Halloween feel. I think the illustrations are exquisite. It reads so well. This is what I'm talking about with a more of a classic Rider-Waite-Smith based deck that is coming into this exquisite format of this Halloween tarot. I love, 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 love this deck. I've had to buy it a number of times because it is just one that I use constantly, and it is just one that I will go for every single time around Samhain. I just think it's wonderful. And the bigger book, if you can get it, I think is very cute if you're like me and you like having complete things in your collection. But I don't think you'll regret this deck at all. My 8th selection is the Sugar Skull Tarot deck and guidebook, and this is really very beautiful. It's by David A. Ross, illustrated by Carolina Martinez, and I have mentioned this before in a review that I have done, that I just wish this cardstock had had a little bit more care and love put into it, because it's a little disappointing. I know a lot of people have said that they don't mind it. I still do need to corner round this. As you can see, there's still at this very boxy, the edges are still not rounded, and I think that might help, but it is a stunning deck. The guidebook is full color. It has, you know, such a stunning work of art even in this. As you can see going through it, it is very beautiful. I'm definitely going to round these corners and hopefully that makes it a little bit easier, but I haven't really played with this too much because I'm probably going to dent a lot of the cards. But I really think this is spectacular, especially if anybody is celebrating their different heritages across the world. And I just think it's a really beautiful deck, and it's one that I think I got in the last year, so it'll definitely be in my reading pile for Halloween. My 9th deck is the La Santa Muerte Lenormand, and it is another beautiful deck for the Mexican Day of the Dead. I'm going to try and say this in Spanish. Dia de los Muertos. I've tried. Let me know how I went. And I'm not laughing at the Mexican Day of the Dead. I'm laughing at just how terrible my Spanish is. But this is a stunning deck. I did a little short on this, and I have shown it on across my social media platforms. The box is incredible. It is so fun and well thought out. It's a lovely way to add Lenormand to your cartomancy practices in this season, as the Day of the Dead, Samhain, those days are thin veiled days, so any divination practices is welcome and encouraged on those days. My 10th selection is Ask the Witch Tarot. This is a very unique deck. I got this one, it's from Red Wheel, and it's from the Timeless Coven, and I have not spent a lot of time with it. I literally just got it a few months ago, but it is a really cool interpretation of the tarot because it is made by a coven of witches for witches. It speaks of a lot of saints and mythologies and witches throughout history, and it is lovely. It is a full deck with a full color book, and it is a very unique art style, and I do really like it. I know that I'm going to be able to read with this deck quite well, and I love the fact that I can pick up the cards and I know instantly who some of these witches are or who some of these goddesses and gods are, and I just really love this deck so much. So it's absolutely one of my picks for this year's Halloween decks. My 11th deck is the Horror Tarot. Now I'm just going to try and make sure you can see that. This is another Inside Editions deck. This is brand new to me this year. I literally just got it maybe a week ago, not even that. And I love it. I love, love, love it. I think it is superb. It's so rad. I love the artwork. I think this is Abigail Breslin again, who did the work with Sasha Graham for the Dark Wood Tarot. I love all of the choices in all the cards. Again, it comes in this, look at the bottom of this box. It's so rad. It's just so cool, and it's blood red, and the borders are a little big. I will give it that. That's probably the one thing that I think the actual cards could have used a little bit more space to breathe the artwork. But I do like the Gothic design of the borders, but I do think they're a little big. The sun is probably one of my favorite cards. It is so freaky. It is really fun. I have never been a real horror movie fan. I only really started watching them about a year ago, like really giving any of them a shot because I'm a massive chicken. But I've been really enjoying watching some horror movies. Like I've watched all the Halloween movies finally, and I love that this has got such classic horror themes, and it's a really fun deck. So that's absolutely a real go-to. My 12th tarot pick is the Jack-o'-lantern Tarot, and it's by Lo Scarabeo. So it's in a very typical Lo Scarabeo box with a very typical Lo Scarabeo little booklet. I wasn't sure what to think of this deck. It is fun though. It has definitely got more of a vintage Halloween theme. I was actually really sold on this when I saw the Magician card. I do like the way that they have included and incorporated jack-o'-lanterns into the artwork. I'm going to be really interested to see how this reads. I've only read with it once. Again, this has come really new to my collection. It literally was here last week. And I really love the color pencil kind of vibe feel to the artwork, but that's vintage feel as well, like those vintage postcards, which I absolutely adore, especially the Halloween ones. And it's a really fun one, so I can't wait to work with this one this year. But who can go past a really funky jack-o'-lantern? Not me, that's for sure. And my lucky 13th pick for this year is the Trick or Treat Tarot by Barbara Moore and Jonathan Hunt. And I have to say, this is another one of my absolute favorites this year. I was eagerly waiting for this one to come into my collection. So as we can see, it's got the big Llewellyn box, which is really cool. I love the backs of the decks with that that big lime green. All of the pages are colored in here, so you're going to be able to see all the artwork. Let's show you a major arcana. So really cool. I just think it's so fun as I'm showing you some cards now. It is bright, it is fun, it is spooky, it is a little bit reminiscent of our, childhood Halloween and trick-or-treating, but it's got some adult references in there as well. It shares some iconic monsters. I mean, most of these decks share iconic monsters, and I absolutely love this. I think this is really one of the very best that's come out this year, and really I can't wait again to work with it. We have been blessed beyond the last couple of years to have so many Halloween tarot decks coming out. I am here for it. As we all know, it's one of my favorite times of the year, and then Yule and Christmas. It is something that I adore, and I know a lot of people really respond to Halloween themed decks. Which one was your favorite out of these picks? If you haven't let me know about your favorite horror movie, let me know in the comments below, or what deck you're working with this All Hallows Eve, this Samhain season. I'm going to be working with these all of October, and please subscribe, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Halloween season.